Thank you to our sponsor for Season 2, Punto Space. The contemporary raw space combines capacity with intimacy. 4 distinct spaces on 3 levels encompass more than 3,500 square feet. Custom configurations, a state-of-the-art audio-visual system, and full-service support provide endless possibilities for realizing your creative vision. Welcome to Currency Shift, the podcast where we showcase and share insights from first, only, and the disruptive. These are people who are creating new lanes and carving new paths for women, people of color, and diversity and inclusion. My name is Sade Simone. Let's get started. All right, we have Terin in the house.
What up, yo? What's
Cheers to you. Yes.
Sir.
Take a little sip. Oh, I love it.
I gotta hit that one more time.
It's real smooth, right?
Yeah, man.
All right, so we have Terin Thompson in the house. Thank you so much for being on the show. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Basically, I'm a singer-songwriter. I was born on the outskirts of Chicago. I moved to California. When I was about 6. I was raised there, and while I was there, I kind of got into music. I have a musical family. My mother and father, they sing, so of course I picked up on it. I was in a boy band, started taking it serious about maybe like 15. We did like stuff at the Grammys, stuff like that. And after that, I just went on to start my solo thing and just, you know what I'm saying, been moving ever since. Was lucky to land a couple records and a couple films and write for a couple artists and stuff like that. So now I'm back at it. I took a break actually because I got married and I had my daughter. And now I'm back getting it moving again, so.
Congratulations on the baby girl. How old is she now?
She about to be 3, man. It took a long time to really get back up to speed because, you know, I got to get her going, potty trained. And, you know, the first 3 years, they change so much. So,
yeah, that's
now
true.
I'm able to, you know what I mean? Oh, I just moved to Atlanta, too. So.
You moved back to Atlanta?
No, I was in California and then I moved to the East Coast for a few years, and I moved back to California, and now I'm back in it. I'm in Atlanta.
All right, perfect. So let's take it a few steps all the way back, right? Because we know where you are now with the family and transitioning to the location, so we'll do a deep dive on that. But tell us a little bit about when you were younger. What were some of your childhood aspirations and dreams?
I mean, I always knew I was going to be in the music. We went the boy band route. And I mean, it was cool, but you know, when you're in a band, you're dealing with multiple personalities. And then, you know, I wrote a lot of the material. I mean, we had a pretty good, you know, situation, but as, you know, most boy bands and you're dealing with management and the business, it has this way of just kind of everybody just not on the same page, you know what I mean? So we had, managers that kind of, I mean, they didn't know everything about the business. They took us as far as they could, and it just got to the point where, I mean, we had to just kind of part ways, you know what I mean? So I ended up linking with my brother Goldfingers, man, shout out to Goldfingers, and my real brother Rico. Me and him kind of, we started a studio there, and then I just kind of, you know, I was the main guy, and I worked with a lot of guys. I worked with Mims. I did some stuff with Sibo. I can't remember. Jacka before he passed. So I've had a long career, I guess you could say so.
So, first of all, you just flew in from California.
No, I flew in from Atlanta.
You flew in from Atlanta. Okay, I thought you were coming from the West Coast. All right, cool.
Yeah. I'm in Atlanta now.
So you flew in from Atlanta. So thank you again for hopping off the plane and coming in here and just vibing with us on Currency Shift. Tell me a little bit about when you were in that boy band. Effectively, what came across your mind when you realized, okay, I have to step out on my own and kind of do my own thing separate from the group?
Well, it was actually my brother, because it was funny because when the group split, I mean, my brother, he was, a little older than me, more mature, so he kind of saw it coming before I did. Because I was, you're young, you're touring, you're traveling, you kind of get used to that, and you don't really look at it from a business standpoint. That's just what I was used to. I'm like, oh man, we ain't got no more shows. You know what I mean? And he's like, bruh, man, he was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do it anymore. And I was mad at him, and he was trying to push me out. And I'm like, nah, let's just do the group. But I mean, what happens is typical in a lot of boy bands. You have maybe one or two that stand out. And I wouldn't say they carry the group, but I was like a big chunk of it. So
yeah,
he was like, man, I was afraid. He was like, dude, you can do this on your own. And because the business kind of went sour between everybody. And he was like, I'm done. So that's what got me out. And I was like, all right, man. And we eventually started like 2 different branches of the group. And I mean, that kind of trickled down, and it was like a gradual process. And pretty much I feel like it was guys saying like, look, man, you just go on your own. And when I did that, man, like in the city I was in, man, I was the guy. And I didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like I got like other artists coming from out of town, and they're like, yo, who's the guy? Who's the guy? And they, they're coming to my studio. But I didn't really understand it at the time, because I'm still like, I just want to do music. But it's like, it's 90% business, about 10%, music. And I'm still like music. But it took me till I got older to really understand I actually understood it, but it took me a while to like actually just do it. I was fighting my calling, basically.
Yeah, I like your vulnerability when you talk about you were afraid, and somebody else saw so much of your greatness and so much of your capabilities that they were like, hey, step out and do it yourself. You can do it. You can move forward on your own. Talk to us a little bit about that process for you, going from a situation where you're afraid of essentially your skill sets on your own accord and stepping into your own limelight. Like, talk to us about that process and what it took for you to just finally be like, yes, I'm going to do this, and yes, I'm going to do it by myself.
Man, it was scary because first the group split, and then we went through the gradual process of trickling down to basically me again, and my brother ended up getting locked up. So it was like, damn, I don't have my brother. I don't have the group. You know what I'm saying? I'm not moving the way I'm used to. So I had to basically find my way all over again. And that was like scary, man. It was like, man, like I'm in the studio by myself and I'm just like, damn, and I don't have my brother to kind of, hey, what you think about this? You know what I mean? So I just had to rely on, my inner talent and God, you know what I mean? And it worked, man. I put out a 5-song EP, man, and it was like, it was popping. Like, people calling me like, yo, man, you Terin Thompson, man, yo, I got your CD in my car right now. You know what I'm saying? That was when CDs was like popping, so.
And this was in California, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was scary, man. And I have a record nobody's heard, but I just kind of like vented about it. Like, and then we end up losing the studio too. Because, you're dealing with multiple personalities. It was like 4 hours running the studio. Shit hit the fan, and I had to start my own studio. So that was it was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But, man, I wouldn't change it for nothing. And my OG, man, he was like, bro, invest in yourself. And, let me back it up, too. I forgot. I had to learn, because I was just a singer and a writer. So I would have to have an engineer in the studio. And this is what I try to tell a lot of young people now, like, learn as much as you can on your own so you don't need anybody. Because I found myself being in the studio with producers, and they, I record till like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And an engineer, he might, come from somewhere else. He might be tired. He might have to go home. And he's at the computer, like, and I'm like,
falling asleep. Yeah.
And I can't tell them what buttons to press. I can't convey what I'm hearing. Like, they can't understand it. So during that process of me going solo, I actually had to learn how to engineer. And my OG, he was like, man, he took the time out. He He was like, I see something in you. And he was like, when you're ready, get in here. So I came in there with my pen and pad and was just taking notes, learning as much as I could. And that led to me getting my own studio. And he was like, the best thing he told me was invest in yourself. And it was like, you know, sometimes we're lazy.
Yes.
We run from our calling. And I was just like, man, I don't, you know, God, how am I going to do this? Or, you know, I'm not used to this, but sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone because everything that you ever wanted or needed is naturally inside of you already. You're born with it. So it kind of compelled me to tap into that. And man, I was killing it. You know what I'm saying? I got my own stuff and it just was like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, man. I mean, shout out to EB, man. That was like a blessing because it helped me take control of my own destiny. I didn't have to wait on somebody to get in the studio. You know what I mean? If I had an idea and like eventually, you know, I had my setup, I had like a lounge area, I had a studio area. And sometimes I sleep in there just recording, man. And it was cool because a lot of ideas came out during that process. Like I still have records that nobody's heard right now. And sometimes I sleep in there. Like I had a little Nintendo Wii in there. I mean, it's like, then I fall asleep, get up at 2 a.m. and just, I got an idea. And it just, man, it's a beautiful thing. I didn't have to wait on nobody.
Yeah, so it sounds like you were scared to take that jump, but then the universe was like, nah, you have to take this jump because we're taking away your key support.
Man.
And that forced you into your limelight. It forced you into your skill set. And a lot of times, like, we don't recognize when the universe is essentially removing things that are holding us back. Right. So I love the fact that you're talking about the struggle that took place, but then also the satisfaction and the gratification that came out of being able to do your own thing. Dive deeper into the invest in yourself part, though.
That's what I was going to get into. It was a very, very important lesson that I learned because I ain't going to say how much I invested into the equipment, but I mean, I made well over the investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you made it back.
Yeah, it was saying. Like, because at that time, the setup that I had, nobody was doing that. Because I saw that everything was going digital. And it was like people were used to being in these big studios with these super huge mixing boards. And I had like kind of a digital setup. And now that's like the thing right now.
And describe it. What do you mean by a digital setup?
Like everything is on the computer. I had like a inbox. I had like a little mixing board, an MP, but everything was just, it was all in my computer. And people were like some people would come in the studio like, yo, man, like, I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, well, you know, just let me know. And they go to like some big studio and these guys didn't know what they were doing. And they come back every time. People be like, yo, wherever you went, go back there. Because when people recorded at my place, I'm not putting no trash out coming from my studio. Right. Because everybody's going to ask, yo, who did that? Or who mixed that? Or who did this beat? So people would be like, they would try to go somewhere else, but being the fact that I had an advantage of being a writer, producer, and an engineer, and I had the ear, I know how to develop artists. I can take somebody that has no musical capacity now whatsoever, and they can come in my studio and I can make it sound like something.
Yeah.
So I learned that I had a gift through, all those situations.
And you said that, like, tell us a little bit about why this industry and why this path, period. Like, what is it about music? What is it about sound engineering? What is it about producing that had you sleeping in the studio, had you investing in yourself, having you kind of like step outside of your fear into yourself?
Because that's the only thing, other than like of my wife, of course, that it came natural. And it's like, it's something I can do for like 20 hours and it'll feel like it was only 2 hours. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like I don't like to not finish anything. So I will sit in there, eyes red. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta finish it. It's just a passion that I have. It's something that I love to do. And I feel like it's a God-given talent that he gave me. So That's what I love to do.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the struggles that you encountered as you started to really climb that ladder within your profession.
Well, you have to understand, like, when you get into something, you want to master it as much as you can. So you have to understand the business aspect of it, the politics of it. You got to know what the market's looking like, the competition. These are things that you have to think about when you step out doing that, but you have to just do it. If it's something you believe in, you got to stick it out, and you have to have the mentality of, I'm not taking no for an answer. Because I mean, I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and one of them was saying that you when you hear like 20 no's, don't get mad about it. That just means you're that much closer to a yes. So you have to have that mentality when you step out and start your own business. And, you know, in the beginning, you may have to foot all the bit, you know what I mean? The whole cost, it might be just you, or you might go bankrupt a few times. You know, like, I don't know one successful millionaire, billionaire that's never fell on their face and went bankrupt. It's just part of the deal, but you have to stick it out.
What were some of the things that you encountered? Because the music industry is a little crazy when it comes to dealing with people, politics, and just sound critics. Because of you being a writer, there's a lot of things that you have to do on the back end. What are some of the things that you encountered where you were like, all right, I'm getting frustrated, but I got to push through?
Man, I've been burned a few times, man. And each time I get stronger and learn. I doubt that it'll happen now, but it just all goes back to what I was talking about earlier. You have to understand business. Because I was like, you know, I'm a Libra, so I wouldn't sound emotional, but you know, I'm a nice person. Like I couldn't differentiate the difference between the business and the personal. Like I had, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this my boy, he ain't gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you want to do a record? Let's just do the record. Then somebody puts the record out and they making money off of it, and you ain't get no phone call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like everything's up front right now. Somebody call me, yo, I need this, I need that. Okay, what direction are you going with it? Let's get our split sheets together. You got BMI, ASCAP. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just all up front now, because I don't have time. I got a family, I got a wife. I don't have time to waste. You know what I mean? So let's just get it done.
Time or money, because you don't have everything set up on the business and somebody's not getting paid.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it might be on your end.
Right.
Yeah, so you work with a few celebrities throughout your career and even now. Talk to us about how you made those connections and how you got situated for doing movies as well as working with certain artists.
Man, honestly, some of the stuff I just kind of fell into. Just people that you know and just networking, and you have to make sure you have a good rapport with people. And you always want to make sure you do good business and just networking, man. If you don't, like I have a saying, when you're out there, man, when you stop knocking on the doors, that's when you stop getting answers.
Ooh,
so
say that again. Say that again.
Seriously, I've been saying that for a long time. If you don't knock on any doors, you ain't going to get no answers. Nothing's going to open. So whatever it takes, keep knocking on the doors and something's going to open for you. And that's how I got a lot of these situations, just applying myself. Sometimes being in the right place at the right time. But I have a problem with being in the clubs, because now it's, you know, the whole politics. Oh, come to my event. I've been in the club since I was 16. There's nothing new under the sun in there. So a lot of times now with the reality TV, you know what I mean? You got to be into the politics. I'm not really with the industry stuff. So I struggle with that because I'm more of a realist. But sometimes you got to be out there and, you know, you got to be in the clubs. You got to shake hands and kiss some babies, man. But, you know, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, just a lot of the situations I got was just me being a good person, me doing good work and doing good business and applying myself.
When it comes to the music industry, there are a lot of there are a lot of difficulties when you're making connections, when you have to go to the clubs to do the appearances, as well as like just your own personal struggles, juggling family as well as like studio time. Because if you're sleeping in the studio, that means that, you know, somebody at home might be not getting the attention that they need. Right. Talk to us about how you balance the mental health of it.
Goodness, man. Well, when I was doing that, like, I don't do it as much because I have, like, my own setup at home.
Yeah.
But when I was running that, I was single, so.
Oh, like, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I have, you know, a friend come through here and there, but I was just, man, it was just me. I didn't have no kids, and it was just studio. But now I'm at home. So it's like, you know, I'll go on my little area getting my music bag, and you know what I mean, my wife, she might, hey, you need anything, or I might come out and take a break or whatever. But I try to balance that with, I try to record, or if I'm making a beat, I try to do it once they're asleep. That's why I work like just stupid hours. So it's like I can still spend time with them, spend time with my son, my daughter, and you know, my wife. And then once they pass out, it's usually about 10, 11 o'clock, and I get to work. So, but it's weird because sometimes she's like, man, you gotta stop because you working all night and you sleeping all day. And you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I gotta get it, man. But it works. You just have to find the balance, man.
Yeah. Do you do anything as far as like meditation, prayer, or anything?
Yeah, man. I'm very spiritual. I'm not really on the religious tip, man. But I meditate at least maybe twice a week. It's crazy because, like I said, I listen to a lot of like motivational speakers, like millionaires, every day. And I'm learning that the most important part of your day is when you wake up, the first 30 minutes to an hour. So I changed my whole situation. When I get up, I do 15 minutes of yoga. My son does it too. I do 15 minutes of yoga. I hydrate and take my vitamins, and I maybe eat like some oatmeal or something like that, and then I go at it. So it's like I'm learning that setup is key. Like everything, if you want to lose weight, it's not so much what you eat or working out, it's the consistency to where it's a ritual. And I try to implement that in everything now, because once you develop that pattern, it becomes second nature to you, and you find a pattern that works for you.
Yeah. So
I'm like really big into meditating, and I'm really big into what I put in my body. 'Cause, you know, we're not getting no younger.
Yeah,
and it's
true.
like people dying at like 30. You know what I mean? I don't want to live to be 100, but I want to be around for, you know, just to at least get the best quality out of life that I can. So.
No, that's good that you're focusing more on like the mental health and the physical health.
Man, health is wealth, man. It's cliche, but that is like one of the realest. I mean, if you're not healthy, say you a billionaire, but you ain't healthy, what's the point?
Yeah.
You can't even, you know what I mean? You can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor because you're not healthy. So and it's crazy because, man, I used to drink nothing but juice. And I met my wife, and she's like, yo, you got to be around. I'm like, man, all right. But I'll be